Streaming now at 5:30, Storm Outlook. A new hurricane season forecast is out tonight, calling for fewer Atlantic storms, why El Nino could help us, and why extra warm water may still fuel dangerous systems. Denial and a demand. The First Lady publicly blasting what she calls lies linking her to Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Her new push to get Epstein victims in front of Congress. Final lap home. The Artemis II astronauts share their favorite moments, from a selfie in the capsule window to a surprise crater named for a fallen loved one. What happens next before Orion splashes down tomorrow? Golden comeback. Jack Nicklaus says his 1986 Masters win is absolutely #1. Tonight, how that shocking charge to a 6-screen jacket became a where were you moment for golf patrons and families. Antitrust crackdown. If the NFL driving up your streaming bill, the Justice Department launches an antitrust investigation. What the league is saying tonight about how fan-friendly it really is. Power pack limit. Southwest is clamping down on portable chargers. How many will you soon be allowed to have? And the fire risk driving the change. And not so hot just yet. Jeff Morrow explains how things are looking for your evening plans.
You're watching WAFB's streaming newscast, live and local, with Dion Guillory. This is 9 News at 5:30.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us here at 5:30. I'm Dion Guillory. We start streaming tonight with your weather picture. Clouds keeping the heat away, but there is a chance for some showers. Jeff Morrow starting us off tonight with your first alert forecast. Jeff.
Mild temperatures this evening as we fall from the 70s into the 60s. No chance of rainfall for especially inland areas. So we're expecting a pretty nice and comfortable evening ahead on this Thursday. Heading into Friday morning, I think it'll be a decent morning start. We're going to see mostly clear skies, temperatures in the upper 50s. It's about a degree or two warmer than we should be for this time of year, but probably hardly any complaints when you really look at it. Temperatures are going to warm very nicely as we make our way through the day on Friday. Notice by lunchtime we'll already be in the mid 70s, and then by the time we get towards the afternoon high, that'll be in the low 80s. So we're expecting a sun cloud mix in the forecast for tomorrow. We could even squeeze out a few showers as we get towards the afternoon hours. Isolated coverage expected. Best opportunity for rain tomorrow expected to be down along the coastal parishes, so certainly south of the interstate corridor, that best chance. And they could use some rain. The latest U.S. drought monitor coming out today, still capping that extreme drought here across some of the coastal parishes, and then also another extreme drought just to the north of Baton Rouge. For our area, still not dealing with significant drought concerns, but with very little rain chance in our future, we could start to see drought begin to grow and grow across South Louisiana. We'll update you on that part of the forecast and much more coming up a little bit later in the show.
All right, Jeff, thanks. Well, researchers at Colorado State University are predicting a slightly below average Atlantic hurricane season. They're calling for 13 named storms, including 6 hurricanes and 2 major hurricanes. El Nino, expected to develop by midsummer, usually increases wind shear over the Atlantic and can disrupt storms. But parts of the Atlantic are already warmer than normal, which could fuel stronger storms even if fewer storms form. The fragile 2-week ceasefire is still in effect tonight in the Middle East. Meanwhile, a more negotiated deal between the U.S. and Iran is set to be talked about this weekend in Pakistan. President Trump on social media has warned that U.S. ships, aircraft, and military personnel will remain in the region until the real agreement with Iran is reached, emphasizing no nuclear weapons and that the Strait of Hormuz will be open and safe. We are hearing from NATO Secretary tonight following what he described as a frank conversation with the president. He argued NATO allies are stepping up to help secure the strait.
Nearly without exception, allies are doing everything the United States is asking. They have heard and are responding to President Trump's request.
Iran says the Israeli strikes in Lebanon are jeopardizing the fragile ceasefire, with the U.S. Israel saying today it will open direct negotiations with Lebanon sometime next week. Crude oil prices are back up around $100 a barrel, and average gas prices in the U.S. are still creeping higher. AAA says the latest increase was just under a penny, but just enough to push the national average for regular to $4.17 a gallon. Many ship owners are still avoiding the Strait of Hormuz, even with that 2-week U.S.-Iran ceasefire deal in place, keeping oil flows there very low. Now, by the end of this year, the United States military will start automatically registering eligible men for the draft. The Selective Service is implementing a law signed by the president back in December. Washington correspondent Brendan Cullerton has those details.
The federal government will now take the responsibility of registering all eligible men between the ages of 18 and 26 for the military draft using federal data. Previously, that responsibility lied with the individual. Selective Service says only 81% of eligible men actually registered in 2024. The Defense Department formally ended the draft in 1973, and President Jimmy Carter passed the law requiring men in the 18 to 25 age range to register for the draft back in 1980. The rule change was passed as part of the new military budget last year, which provided the Selective Service system $6 million to enact changes under the new plan. The change does not mean the U.S. will begin drafting soldiers. That would need to be passed by Congress. Military service remains optional for women. Certain exceptions for those hospitalized, incarcerated, or institutionalized remain. In Washington, I'm Brendan Cullerton.
First Lady Melania Trump is attempting to distance herself from Jeffrey Epstein. In remarks from the White House, the First Lady blasted what she called lies linking her to the convicted sex offender. She said she and the president were invited to the same parties as Epstein from time to time, calling it common that their social circles overlapped. But she emphasized she was never friends with Epstein or his accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell.
I am not Epstein's victim. Epstein did not introduce me to Donald Trump. I met my husband by chance at a New York City party in 1998. The first time I crossed paths with Epstein was in the year 2000 at an event Donald and I attended together. At the time, I had never met Epstein and had no knowledge of his criminal undertakings.
The First Lady also called on Congress to let Epstein's victims testify on Capitol Hill. Well, with the Artemis II mission winding down, the crew is taking time to reflect on the monumental journey. The crew sharing highlights from that journey, including selfies on board and this one of Christina Kauk in the capsule's window. For Commander Reed Weissman, the most moving moment when fellow astronaut Jeremy Hansen proposed naming a crater after Weissman's late wife, Carol.
When Jeremy spelled Carol's name Carroll, I think for me that's when I was overwhelmed with emotion. We live on a fragile planet in the vacuum in the void of space. Our purpose on the planet as humans is to find joy, to find the joy in lifting each other up.
Now the Orion capsule is drifting through space with just a little more than 24 hours before returning here to Earth. The crew is set to splash down tomorrow evening off the coast of San Diego. The astronauts aboard Artemis II didn't just make history this week, they're also taking part in health studies that will give scientists more data about all of us here on Earth. Michael George explains.
Most of us have been sleeping really well.
How the astronauts sleep in space and perform is one of the health studies underway aboard Artemis II.
For me, sleeping in space is one of the most comfortable ways to sleep, and it's very deep sleep.
The astronauts are wearing special watch-like devices that provide data about their sleep cycles and the quality of their slumber.
It's really important to help us figure out how their psychological well-being is. And so we have questionnaires and surveys asking them how they're feeling, how they're doing, what's the team dynamic like.
Soon after the astronauts return to Earth, they'll take part in an obstacle course. Their performance will give clues about how NASA should proceed when the space agency again lands a crew on the moon, scheduled for 2028.
We can understand how well they can function, how well that inner ear is working, and whether or not they will need to rest some before they can go out and do their work.
Another study called Avatar has brought the astronauts' bone marrow cells aboard the Orion spacecraft.
We get to answer so many questions in this small package of an organ chip model, and the power of it's going to be incredible.
Providing their own medical data is part of an astronaut's commitment to science.
All of the astronauts that have flown in space, you become a test subject for the rest of your lives.
Scientists are also monitoring radiation levels and will use saliva samples to evaluate astronauts' immune systems in deep space. Michael George, CBS News.
Checking in on.
The results of the Avatar program should start to be released a month or two after the astronauts return to Earth. At Augusta National Golf Club in Georgia, 40 years ago, Jack Nicklaus teed it up for his 28th Masters tournament. He hadn't won a major in 6 years, hadn't won a Masters in 11. But the Golden Bear came out of hibernation for one last Masters moment. Here's Nick Proto.
For more than 60 years, Jack Nicklaus has been synonymous with the Masters tournament. His 6 green jackets are a record, but Jack will tell you that 6th one in 1986 holds a special place in his heart.
Oh, absolutely, number one.
The man who'd been on top of the golf world for decades was far from the favorite coming into that week. He only met 2 criteria to qualify, being a Masters champion and finishing in the top 24 in the 1985 Masters.
I looked like I was pretty much done with playing golf when I won the Open and the PGA, or the U.S. Open and PGA in 1980. And I really wasn't, you might say, expecting to win anymore.
He was closer to the cut line than the lead after round 2. But, as we know, the Masters doesn't really start until the second 9 on Sunday. Through 8 holes Sunday, he trailed Seve Ballesteros by 6.
And all of a sudden, they got a little lightning in a bottle, and it was kind of fun to find that.
With his son Jackie on the bag, Nicklaus shot a 30 on the second 9 to win the green jacket. It's a where were you when moment.
The one putt I remember him making was the one he ran after. He knew it was on the hole.
That transcends generations.
My father was here in '86, and my uncle worked security on the number 4 tee box. And my father was in a wheelchair, and he pushed them all over the course. And they were at 17 when he hit the putt.
My dad, huge Jack Nicklaus fan. He went and got his hat, his golf hat, put his golf hat on. He sat on the edge of the chair the whole time. I've never seen him so excited.
In a career with so many great moments over the years, it's only fitting his final career win comes at a tournament he helped make so special.
It was a nice way to finish a career, you might say.
Well, at 46 years old, Jack Nicklaus is still the oldest player to ever win the Masters, and you can watch the third and final rounds of the Masters this weekend on WAFB Channel 9. Our full coverage begins at 1 o'clock on both days. It wraps up at 6 o'clock each day. The NFL is responding tonight after the Justice Department launched an investigation into whether the league has engaged in antitrust practices that cause fans to pay more in subscription fees. The NFL says that its distribution model is the most fan-friendly in the entire sports and entertainment industry. They say 87% of games are available on television for free. The league adds that the 2025 season was the most watched since 1989, reflecting its wide availability to fans. Tickets for the 2028 Summer Olympics in LA are now on sale to the general public after a record-breaking first week of local pre-sales. Fans around the world have until April 19th to buy seats, but only if they were given a time slot for this ticket drop. The first batch for LA and Oklahoma City sold out of $28 seats in minutes, pushing many fans to higher-priced options.
Unsurprisingly, the cheapest tickets usually go the quickest. We've had hundreds of thousands of people purchase $28 tickets already. We still on our site right now, about a third of our tickets remaining are still under $200. So we've got a wide range of prices, a wide range of sports available.
Start your budgeting now. Olympic officials say more lower-priced tickets will be released as new registration windows open later this year. Fans can buy up to 12 tickets for general sessions, 12 more for soccer, and 4 for the opening and closing ceremonies. Back here at home, a big crowd is expected in Baton Rouge this weekend for the Go Teal Walk, an annual event raising awareness about ovarian cancer. LSU softball head coach and organizer Beth Torina joined our morning crew here in the studio to explain what you can expect.
My mom's an ovarian cancer survivor and got here, got the job, and put the team in teal jerseys. And I had some women from the community reach out and, had battled it themselves, had a daughter that had battled, and all of a sudden Go Teal was born, and we've been walking and supporting this cause ever since.
Amazing. The SEC has embraced it as well. It's like every team in the SEC has a Go Teal. This is not just LSU.
Yeah, on Saturday, the entire SEC will be teal. We're supporting Alex Wilcox, who is a Mississippi State softball player that passed away from ovarian cancer. So the campaign's called All for Alex, and everybody in the SEC will be wearing their teal. It's a really cool day.
Cool indeed, and you can find all the details and watch that full interview on WAFB.com. When we come back, hit or miss showers. Jeff Morrow has your rain chance breakdown and your first alert forecast.